You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. The following podcast contains spoilers and rude words. We watch the thing. We watch the thing.
Welcome back to We Watched a Thing. You're with me, Dave. You're with him, Sick Boy. How you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm not feeling great. We're recording late this week. I mean, it's fitting that we watched a horror movie because I had the gastro, and not to be TMI, but the things I did in that toilet were pretty horrific. So
you were very early days Peter Jackson yesterday.
Yeah, looked a little bit like that parrot in this movie. So.
If listeners could see Billy, he's looking very, very sorry for himself in his fluffy Disney hoodie.
Yeah, I don't have my hoodie on. Yeah,
it's you're in your sick boy attire.
How are you doing? You're better than me. Let me live through you. I can see that you're drinking something that looks delicious.
Yeah, I've got my dirty martini with 3 olives,
Nice.
which is kicking me along nicely.
Well,
Yeah, as you alluded to, we are talking horror.
That's
we're
right.
talking Sting.
Sting, which is a 2024 horror
Oh, you're doing it? I
film.
didn't know if you were up for it. You're going to do it?
I can do this. I just don't have the gusto to to start the show off. But written and directed by Kaya Roach Turner and starring Ryan Corr, Elila Brown, Penelope Mitchell, Robin Neven, Noni Hazelhurst, and Jermaine Fowler. It's an Australian film.
Yep.
It was released...
Australian National Treasure, Kaya Roach Turner.
Yes, but despite that, we are getting it very late. It was released in the States and Canada on April 12, just coming out here this week.
Has been fucking cooked.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because I saw it, if you recall, I saw it in theatres like a month ago now.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared, and then suddenly it's got a release date of the 11th of July. I don't know if they just had some very early preview screenings which weren't badged as such.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
I had to go back through my notes and see whether I'd actually watched it legally or not. But no, I went to a theatre. I bought a ticket. I just did it a long time ago.
No word on the budget of this film, but the box office so far is 2.3 million, which, for an independent Australian film, not bad. But let's get into it. Yeah, I saw the trailer for this yonks ago, and I was pretty excited. Tell me about your feelings with the film.
I went to it, but I didn't expect it to be good, to be honest. I thought it was going to be schlocky crap.
Yeah.
But I love Kaya Roach Turner. For listeners, he is the Aussie wunderkind behind the 2 Wormwoods post-apocalyptic zombie films, which are basically Dawn of the Dead meets Mad Max, and they're both fucking great. Yeah. And you may recall on my underrated horrors, I had his 3rd film, Necrotronic, in there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 2nd film. I think he did it between the 2 Wormwoods, which is also a barrel of fun. And so I was, as soon as I saw his name attached, I was like, oh, I'm pretty confident this is going to be a good time in the movies. Yeah. And it was. It was a good time in the movies.
I agree. This movie actually took me by surprise. Not that I wasn't expecting to enjoy it, I was, but from the trailer I'd seen, my memory was that this looked like a spider film. And it's actually not. Like, honestly, this is a sci-fi horror. This thing, it's not even hidden. Opening shot of the scene.
This may well be Paul Dano from Spaceman.
Yeah. Quite early on in the film.
Spider-shaped alien.
Yep, straight after the cold open, you see the comet coming to Earth. So I actually really enjoyed a lot of this movie. I don't think everything lands. I think there is some...
it's not a 5-star classic or anything.
I think there's some injection of humor in the film that doesn't land as well as it could or should, given how fun and campy the film can be. I think tonally it's a little bit all over the place. I don't think it leans into its camp factor as much as it could. But I think when it does, it's really fun. I think the visuals are pretty strong in the film. I think the spider itself looks pretty good. I love the opening title sequence in the dollhouse. Like, that is just a lot of fun.
So it's and that I thought was brilliantly done.
Yes,
really, really well executed. And The thing I'm sure I've said this before. Another spider film, Infested or Vermines in its original French, that came out pretty much the same time. It only just came out, and has a much more serious. There's no tongue in cheek with that film. It's a very serious.
Yeah.
Or it takes itself very seriously.
Yeah.
Where it falls down is that the premise is so fucking ludicrous that taking it seriously was completely the wrong I think. And there are friends of mine, Paul Brazil in particular, thought that Verminous was very, very good.
Yep.
But he is a massive arachnophobe, so I think a lot of it landed a lot more strongly than it did for me. That film is fine, but I had a lot of problems with it. That this film, I didn't have the problems because this film doesn't take itself seriously. This is a fun monster movie.
It's a monster movie.
It's not purporting to be a serious film at all.
Yeah,
it's completely over the top in parts. One thing I did like, which I think is where you found tonal inconsistency, is that Kai Roach Turner's injected quite a touching family drama as the core of this, where particularly the relationship between kind of, I guess, our main character, Charlotte, this young girl.
Alana Brown,
young Furiosa for those playing at home, and her stepdad, and how their relationship ebbs and flows as it does quite markedly over the course of this. And I found that really quite touching, particularly when you get to the end and she calls him dad for the first time. And I kind of went, oh God, that hit me. I liked that in there, but I think that's possibly contributed to where you found a bit of inconsistency. You would have liked much more of the cheese and the 50s big monster
100%
shenanigans, and fuck off the family drama. I'm not here for that.
I mean,
which is completely fair.
Even the family drama, I might have been okay with it if it was less pronounced, but it is quite strong. And honestly, Charlotte is a troubled girl, and I think
that's a very nice way of saying an absolute little cunt for the first half of the film.
Well, which she is.
I wanted her to die.
Yeah.
2/3 in.
But maybe it's just like, as a parent, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's very hard to balance a character like that with a story so cheesy, because it almost doesn't take her as seriously as it should.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
So that's kind of my issue. My only other issue with the film really is that I don't think the majority of the acting is very good. I mean, look,
I hope you're not including Aussie legends Robin Nevin and Nosy Hazelhurst.
I was just gonna say props to Noni from Play School, but I don't think most of the acting lands as well as it should. And some of that, it's an interesting thing when you see quite a movie that this is an Australian movie. I mean, like Wormwood set in Australia. This obviously is not. This is set in New York in like a rundown tenement building and stuff.
Yeah.
I understand why Kai Roach Turner decided to set this film there, because it doesn't work if you set it here. But
I mean, in part, yes. Until the spider is literally about 4 feet across, most Aussies would be going, "Oh, cute little link! Oh, come here, let's bat it and give it some teeth."
See, but this is what I find so interesting about it.
The reason for the setting is purely commercial. He wants to sell a film
Probably.
in America, and Wormwood, Mad Max has set the stage. Wormwood works as in that setting. Necrotronic is kind of a I don't think they ever specify where that is, and you've got Monica Bellucci in there, which kind of confuses you.
But this is exactly what I was going to say. If you want to make an American film, make an American film. Like, he should have filmed it over there with an American cast. It never ever works when you have a full Australian cast doing American accents. Half of them don't land. The ones that do don't land all the time.
I assume, other than purely for the comedy of them playing the characters, but I'm assuming that's partly why he went, oh, well, they're Eastern European immigrants.
Well, yeah.
With hilariously thick accents.
Yeah,
and therefore it kind of doesn't feel weird that they don't have really pronounced American accents, because that's their upbringing.
Yeah. I find it it's such an odd thing when you see an Australian movie like this that, like you say, chances are it was done for commercial reasons. It's really hard because I'm sure you're the same. I kind of hate the Australian accent. If I see a movie with Aussies in it, you kind of think of it as lesser tier. But
I think it hits us very differently than it would an American audience.
Yes.
We just see it as slightly exotic and probably can't tell it from a British or a Scottish or a New Zealand or
100%,
any other English-speaking accent from outside America.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm with you. It automatically makes a film feel cheap to me.
It does. If it's got Australian, yes, 100%.
Because there's this deep-seated cultural cringe that anything we make is not as good as stuff from America.
Definitely.
And therefore
so I understand that commercial kind of want to make this an Americanized, like a Hollywood film. Yeah. But at the same time, you're dealing with a story about a giant spider. I mean, that's kind of, at this stage in the internet and stuff, that's what Australia is most famous for. Like, just lean into that. Like, basically, make this movie Eight-Legged Freaks, but in the outback, you know, have it get loose in a small outback town. Like, that, to me, would have been just as interesting, if not a more interesting premise.
I mean, yes, but I did quite enjoy the kind of almost Alien meets Attack the Block feel of.
Oh yeah, and like I love like the snowy aesthetic and everything.
Trapped
yeah,
in there.
Yeah,
and it's established early on that there's, and I'm assuming this is a thing in America. It seems bizarre to me that everyone in that building is just breathing each other's funk through these unfiltered, air channels. That, I mean, my God, it made my skin crawl thinking of all the cockroaches that could just run from one apartment to the other through this unfiltered vent.
Yeah.
But it's established early on that you've got this interconnected series of tunnels so that, you know, Sting can get around as Charlotte does, going from apartment to apartment, peering in on neighbors and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
One thing I did think he did quite a good job of is establishing the limited, albeit limited, list of characters, but we got a bit of time with all of them. We had poor sort of Miss Lonely Hearts, who'd lost her husband and kids and was, you know, just had her dog, and she was, you know, all sorts of troubled and sad. And you had Noni, which I think we'll get to the kind of time jump of the open and how that's stitched together in a bit, but I thought that was great. We had her and her sister. It's almost fucking Cruella de Vil, Robin Nevins' bitch landlady who owns the building and treats everyone like garbage. I thought those characters, even though they were fairly broad archetypes, were established quite nicely. So some of them you wanted to die, but all of the people who died, there was some sort of impact, whether you were happy about it or sad about it. There was no one who died where I was just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I was either happy or sad about it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some good kills.
Yeah, let's talk about the gore.
Especially poor old Lonely Hearts.
I mean, honestly,
I felt so sorry for him.
The best kill in the movie for me is that parrot. It's kind of the first bit of gore you really get. I think the visuals, like I said, are really strong. I love the visuals of Sting in that jar and the way he kind of builds his own little ecosystem inside there. Yeah. Like it's really, really well done, I think. But that first moment where you see that parrot, and the first thing I said, I turned to Noosk and I said, well, that parrot is fucked. And then the exterminator comes in and says he says, that is a fucked parrot. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah. Like it was just the perfect level of cheese for me in that. Like it didn't look overly realistic, but it was kind of visceral and gross. And it was just, to me, the effects and the kills definitely elevate this film. Like that's where it really gets into fun territory for me. Like that back half of the film, once Sting starts just going nuts.
And you get they're just cool little things like when she finds out that doesn't like mothballs, like the camphor or whatever, and so she's making mothball water in a super soaker, and that was great fun.
Yeah.
And the kind of Nokia ringtone feeding sound that
Woo woo.
Right.
Yeah, I can't whistle. That was me pretending to whistle. Just
I was going to let it slide. You didn't need to highlight it. Creepy Asian guy.
Yeah. Can you whistle?
Not really well. I used to be a really good whistler, and then when I was about 18, 20, something like that, I got Bell's palsy, and the sort of paralysis of the muscles is never 100. So I can not quite form the right shape anymore.
Yeah, I've been trying my whole life to learn how to do it, and I can't do it.
Were you super jealous of kids at school that could do the?
Oh man,
the
yeah.
Rip a loud one with the fingers.
Yeah, I can do it with. I can do the blade of grass whistle. That's the only kind of whistle I can do.
Oh, where you between your.
Yeah. But I can't do it.
The Skippy one.
Yes. Yeah.
That one.
So going into I just got to ask, because I like I said, I was surprised by this movie. Did you expect this movie to be what it was? Did you? Because I thought it was going to be
totally. It's different. I expected it to be kind of more over the top and kind of schlocky,
right?
Just based on, in particular, Necrotronic, but his previous. There's a lot more heart in this, and in that sense, I guess there's some parallels with the second Wormwood film, which, from memory, is the one with quite a strong brother-sister relationship, unless I'm misremembering that. But the family drama bit surprised me in this.
That's
not negatively. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like when you see the shift between things like Brain Dead, Meet the Feebles, etc., and then you get the Frighteners.
Yeah.
We're looking at PJ's trajectory.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar thing here, which makes me very excited for where Kai Roach Turner is going to go next, because if you look at Peter Jackson, then you get what was it? Heavenly Creatures, Beautiful Creatures, whatever it was.
Heavenly Creatures, great film.
Which was a quantum leap up in terms of kind of quote unquote serious cinema
quality. Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that this is kind of the trajectory that we're starting to see from Kai Roach Turner, because I think through all four of the films that he's done so far, there's an amazing amount of kind of innate skill, and this guy's a natural filmmaker and appears to be kind of doing some of this similar early stuff that the likes of Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi did. So he may end up being one of our greats in 10, 20 years.
I agree. To me, like I said, my one issue is that I found tonally it was kind of in between. It wasn't quite a schlock fest, and it wasn't quite a heightened, like elevated dramatic horror.
Yeah.
It kind of sat in between.
It's him kind of attempting to flex and move into a different arena.
I agree. I'm super curious to see where he goes next.
But I like what he's attempting to do.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the previous three? I know
you
haven't seen
haven't.
Necrotronic.
No.
But you would love all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Especially based on our conversation around this one.
Yeah, if they're more schlocky than
this,
shit
that you like.
Yeah, then
none of the schmaltzy. It's all just people driving around in post-apocalyptic Australia, powering their vehicles with zombie breath.
Nice. I still really, really, really enjoyed this movie. Like, don't let me sell it short. Like I said, I think
it's
apart from those tonal issues and like I said, I think the quality of the acting. It's heaps more fun than I expected it to be, honestly. I kind of went in with the opposite of expectations because I haven't seen any of Kai Roach Turner's previous films. Yep. I saw the trailer and I expected this to be more similar to what the current trend in horror is, which is kind of very serious, and that's kind of what I expected. So to get this where it does lean more towards the schlock, I was very pleasantly surprised. So I'm a 7 out of 10.
100%, exactly the same.
Yeah.
I've got logged it twice on Letterboxd now, both times at 3.5. So yeah,
Yeah.
100% a strong 7. And it's really refreshing. This and I'll shout it out again because I loved it so much. But this and Night Shift have been kind of refreshing counterpoints to, as you say, these films that are not good enough to take themselves as seriously as they do. Like
Yes.
Bagheads and Talk to Me's and all these things that they think they're the second coming, and none of them are well enough made or well enough written to warrant that.
Yeah. Baghead is
all of
exactly
them
what I was thinking of
could
when
have
I said
been
that.
better had they had a bit more tongue in cheek about them and taken themselves less seriously. They could have all been a lot of fun, and they all ended up annoying me because they think they're better than they are. Whereas,
I still think hands down the best horror movie of the year is Immaculate so far. It just, that final sequence.
If I thought it was a horror movie, I might agree with you. Although I really fucking love Night Shift, but yeah, at least we've had some good fare to tide us through till we get to the real ball of horrors like Nosferatu and that towards the end. One thing I do want to say about this, which we haven't really touched on, and that I do think is really quite clever and surprised me, is the kind of time trajectory of the film. So we start the film,
we didn't, and then it goes
kind of
3 days earlier.
And then we go back 4 days.
4
I think
days.
it is.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, that's quite clever. So we know where it's going to end up, but the way that that's done with, because Noni Hazelhurst's character, the Charlotte's grandmother, in the film, and the mother of, and I'm sure you would have recognized Penelope Mitchell from Vampire Diaries, but Noni's the grandmother, but she has dementia, so she is quite advanced dementia and doesn't recognize her own daughter most of the time, certainly doesn't recognize Charlotte, etc. And so it starts with her letting Frank, the exterminator, into the building, who has the shits and says, I can't believe you called the Bug Brothers or whatever, a rival exterminator company whose van we see outside. And we never see the Bug Brothers at that point.
Yeah.
But then we go back in time 4 days. We see how Charlotte finds this alien spider, grows it in a jar, blah, 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 blah. It ends up as this big thing running around the vents killing people. And then we get to the point where Frank's invited in. At that point, we've seen the Bug Brothers. They're dead.
Yeah.
But we also get the sense later that Frank is not even the second exterminator that's been called. Noni's just calling exterminators every half an hour out of the phone book who arrive, get killed, she forgets, hears a rustling in the air ducts, calls another exterminator. And Sting has just been feasting on New York's exterminators.
It was
we don't know how long.
It was really interesting because when that first scene happened, that opening of the film, by the end of that scene, I actually thought that, because you don't fully get the sense at that point that she's got this deep dementia. I thought that she was like bringing them. I thought that she was bringing the exterminators there to feed Sting purposefully. I thought it was like a Little Shop of Horrors type thing, where it was like her pet and she was like bringing them there specifically to feed him. So
Betty White and Lake Placid.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool actually. Yeah.
I thought it was very clever the way it sort of incorporated both her dementia and that time jumping to kind of bookend the film, because you get Frank, obviously, once we catch up to the 4 days and Frank arrives again, and we're like, oh, dude, you are in for a whole fucking world of hurt because we now know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
And it's so much funnier the second time he arrives once we know about the dementia and the extent of it. I mean, we haven't said it. I think Noni Hazelhurst is really fucking good in this movie.
Oh yeah, she's the best part of it by far.
Robin Nevins chewing the scenery, and she's almost Cruella de Vil, and she's meant to be, and I think she's great. But I think Noni is so good. Yeah, and American listeners won't kind of get just how much of the theatrical. Robin Nevin and Noni Hazelhurst are two of our theatrical legends. They've been around since the late 60s.
Oh yeah,
doing Shakespearean theatre, all these things. Noni obviously one of the longest running hosts of Play School,
Play
which
School. Yeah.
is our longest running kids show. And I think after Blue Peter in the UK is the longest running kids show in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Longer than Sesame Street or anything like that. So she is a cultural icon.
Yes.
And then to have her kind of with this hilarious Eastern European accent, dropping all these unintentional one-liners about what's going on, I adored. That elevated the film almost a star for me, is having the two of them in there acting legends in this kind of B-grade spider movie. I just thought that was fantastic to me. Really special.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, next week, what are we going to do, mate? We have well and truly hit summer blockbuster season.
We've gone from struggling to find things to talk about in terms of new releases to having something like, is it 6 things dropping in the space
next
of
2
days?
weeks? Yeah, it's
fucking mental.
Crazy.
We've got the new Yorgos, Kinds of Kindness. We've got Maxine, which I'm very excited about.
Can't forget Twisters.
Still haven't seen the previous 2 fucking films. We've got the
Twisters.
new Cage one, Long Legs, which looks great. I think that's dropping on the 11th as well.
Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly Me to the Moon, if you're into that kind of thing, which apparently we are. I
know you're keen on Horizon as well.
I almost went to Horizon last week because that's already out, and I couldn't. I was feeling too shit and didn't get to it.
So I reckon we got.
There's another one. There's one I haven't even mentioned. There are 6 films coming out on the same day.
We got to do Twisters pretty early. I reckon
Twisters. That's what it is.
Next week, let's do Twisters and Kinds of Kindness, maybe.
Uber schlock, art film, seems a nice balance.
Yeah, because Maxine, and then we can do
Maxine. We're going to have to leave a week because you're sick now. You've still got to see X and Pearl.
Yeah,
look. We're not going to be first out of the gate with a review on that. That'll be the week after for sure.
Plus, I mean, that because I think we've already got that a week or 2 after the States anyway. I've seen so many people posting about that already. So I think...
Oh, really? I know a couple of people that went to advanced screenings. I was hoping we were kind of not too far behind.
No, I'm pretty sure. Hang on. Yeah, so it came out last week in the States.
No,
July 5th. So we're already
I really want you to have seen X and Pearl before we talk about it, because kind of half the conversation is going to go into sort of this trilogy and how it comes together.
All right, so let's do Twisters and Kinds of Kindness next week, and then we'll do Maxine and I don't know, Fly Me to the Moon
Legs
or something. Yeah, Long Legs the week after. Yeah. All right.
Fly Me to the Moon's probably going to be a quick conversation. We could probably do all 3 the following week.
All right, because summer blockbuster season. So
love it.
Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, for joining us here.
Indeed.
And we'll catch you next week. Go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/pottymouthradio. We're about to launch our monthly bonus series for We Watched a Thing. Do you want to tell the people what it is, mate?
Yep. I am so looking forward to getting started on this. So we're going to do this will be the first of a number of things, but initially we're going to be kicking off with a deep dive into the career of multi-hyphenate wunderkind M. Night Shyamalan.
That's right. Shyamalanigans.
Starting with The Sixth Sense, and we'll be going through his entire filmography.
Yeah.
By the time we get to the end, we'll probably even have what's the serial killer thing?
Trap. Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
We'll probably even be at that point. So once every month there'll be a bonus episode with a super deep dive into one of his cinematic masterpieces.
When we finish that, I'd like to go through the Adam Sandler filmography as well.
There's a lot of things. We'll discuss it, but we'll once we get through Shyamalan, we'll probably pick someone else or some other topic and do a series of deep dives into something. But initially, it is what we've dubbed Shyamalanigans.
Yep. So go check out the Patreon. Join us on the Facebook listener community. Link is in the show notes as well, where you can have your say about the show and get in touch with us. And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah. Go check out Sting. Support an Aussie director.